Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 21 of the Stained Glass Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Spurlock. On today's episode, I'll discuss how God revealed His strength through the struggle of having long COVID. Let's get started. I wanted to address something with you all first. I'm not here to talk about the political or medical aspects of COVID infection. I'm here to tell you my story and how it reveals God's glory. I've talked about this in previous episodes, and I'll say this. I just want to give you some context and tell you that we had to be more careful about becoming infected than most of the population, and therefore we had to follow certain guidelines for a little bit longer. So, please don't judge me for some of the things you might hear in my story that I'm going to tell. The Stained Glass Podcast is a judgment-free zone. Okay? All right. So, my husband and I both got COVID in the summer of 2022. And we both got it from traveling to a resort in Marco Island, Florida. And I was down there because I had won a big award from the National Manufacturers Association. So I got to get all dressed up and go to a fancy gala with my husband and just hang out at a resort for a few days. So that was pretty cool. And I thought that I was being careful, and I wore an N95 mask on the airplane and through the airports, but we still got it. For me, COVID was fairly mild. The fatigue for me was the worst part of it. But what was even worse was something that hung around after COVID was over, and that was this intense brain fog. Like, I would tell somebody to go put this piece of paper on the table, and I would forget the word table. And I wouldn't be able to think of it for like several minutes unless somebody finished my sentence for me. So it's almost like I could see the word table hovering over the table, but there was a cloud or a fogginess around the word, and I just couldn't say it. I mean, it's like I could see the word, but my mouth would not say the word. And it was just something that was so surreal to happen. And I didn't really think too much about it at first, but a few months passed and a few more seemingly minor symptoms popped up that I could just excuse away as other things. One of the more annoying things that I had been dealing with for some time was that I can hear my heartbeat in my right ear. Now, I don't think this is related to COVID, but we had already met our out-of-pocket maximum for insurance for the year, and it was getting close to the end of the year. And I figured that I would get it checked out since it was quote-unquote free. So I did. An ENT ordered a head CT, and he told me that it didn't show any reason for the pulsar tinnitus, which is what it's called. But he did spend a lot of time doing a neuro exam, which seemed odd to me. So a month or two went by, and I was not really able to shrug off these symptom flare-ups any longer. Now, one of the things that happened was that my arms would suddenly get weak and I wouldn't be able to lift them. Like one time I was working out with free weights and I dropped a weight because my arm just got super weak and it almost fell on my face. That would be bad. Another thing that happened was that I was going to get a pot underneath of the counter from the cabinet, and I went to lift my arms to grab the pot and I couldn't lift my arms. So I just sat down, waited for the moment to pass, and then went back and got the pot. Another time, I was going to take my son to a soccer game, and I sat down in the driver's seat, and I couldn't lift my arms to put them on the steering wheel for a few minutes. And then finally, it's I have to wait for the moment to pass, and then I'm fine. You know, sometimes my hands and my feet would be tingling. One time I went for a walk, and I bent down to tie my shoe, and when I got up from tying my shoe, my right arm from the elbow down and my left leg from the knee down were tingling, but most of the time it was just like the palms of my hands or the soles of my feet would be tingling or just feel super sensitive, like they were on fire or, really, really cold, and they weren't. Another thing that happened was that my legs would feel so heavy at times, and I could barely lift them up as I was walking, and so I had to stop exercising altogether. I lost my balance going down the stairs a few times, and I fell and hurt myself a few times. And I had a hard time seeing contrasts, and my depth perception was way off. I was losing my ability to focus, and I easily got frustrated doing simple things. The slightest bit of physical or mental exertion would make me so fatigued that I felt sick for a day or so. And the brain fog was getting worse, and I was losing the ability to recall things in my short-term memory. I was also misplacing objects in the weirdest fashion. So one time, I had my phone on the charger, and we were going to Target to return something, so I needed my phone to return this item because the receipt was on my phone, because that's the way I bought it, was online from the app. And so I was like, okay, I need to put my phone in my purse, putting the phone in the purse. And we get to Target, and my phone is not in my purse. Where is my phone? My phone is in my kid's switch case, zipped up and put in the place where they put their switch. No clue how that happened. I was intentionally trying to put my phone in my purse, but yeah, I put my phone in the kid's switch case and put it away. I don't know. Super weird. Not the typical Jessica Spurlock mode. People would often try to compare my experiences to themselves to try and minimize what I was going through in order to help me to not freak out about it, but it was honestly not helpful. And people would also say that, oh, they felt funny when they were stressed, and it's probably just stress. But looking back on that time, I was the most chill that I have ever been, easily. So something in me told me to go back and look online at the report from the CT scan that the ENT did and told me was normal. Well, I did, and the report said that I had extensive lesions in the white matter of my brain. Now, the brain has two types of matter, white and gray matter. Think of the brain as a supercomputer. White matter is like the wiring that connects the different parts of the computer, allowing it to send messages quickly. It helps the brain work smoothly to handle tasks like thinking, moving, and feeling. Now, when there's lesions in the white matter of the brain, think of it like a traffic jam in the brain's communication highways. So when that happens, it can lead to various neurological issues such as cognitive impairments, having difficulty with memory and attention, motor problems such as weakness or impaired fine motor skills, sensory changes such as tingling or numbness in specific body parts, balance and coordination issues. So, does any of that sound familiar? I think so. And also, when I went and I showed my report to people who are in the medical community, I would wash their face as they're reading their report. And then when they get to the part about the lesions and the white matter, I see their faces just fall. That happened on several occasions. So they were it was one of those situations where they're trying not to freak out or to make it appear like they're freaking out, but I can tell that they're like, oh crap. So anyways, I wanted answers, and I just didn't want to put a label on it for labeling's sake. I wanted to go somewhere where they had a larger pool of patients, and I would be listened to instead of shrugged off for being too young to have these issues. So I went to Cleveland Clinic, one of the top neuro facilities in the country, which happened to only be 4 hours from my house. So why wouldn't I take advantage of that, right? Right. So they agreed that there was an issue, and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't something more terminal like MS or any other debilitating neurological diseases. So the likelihood that it was long COVID was high, but they wanted to do due diligence and rule out the other things first. And so they did a brain and a cervical spine MRI, they did some blood work, and they sent me for neuropsychology testing to look for patterns in my cognitive impairment. So the MRIs looked mostly normal, the blood work was normal, and the results in the neuropsychology tests didn't show any patterns correlating to a specific neurological condition, even though they noted some deficits which were abnormal for my age. And though I was quote-unquote normal for other things, they could see me getting frustrated and assessed that my baseline was way above normal. Which, my parents will tell you, my brain and my memory was like a steel trap. So that's actually pretty true, I think. So they said if it was long COVID, it should get better or stay the same, but not get worse. And if it did, I needed to come back for further testing. I was prescribed physical therapy, counseling, and cognitive therapy such as brain training, puzzles, and games. So I went to physical therapy, and it was alarming how bad things had gotten when they did my evaluation. My balance and coordination were totally off. I was very weak. The questionnaires I had to fill out put me in the severe category for quality of life impact. The point of physical therapy was for me to get stronger so that when the symptom flare-ups happened, they didn't take as much out of me. After 4 weeks of physical therapy, I improved about 70%, and after 8 weeks, I improved about 85%. My quality of life assessment has changed from a severe impact to no impact in 8 weeks. I am back to exercising 4 days a week for at least 30 minutes a day. Now, I still need to set up counseling, and cognitive therapy is slowly making an improvement too. You know, dealing with long COVID has been quite the journey, and it's taught me a few important lessons. One of the biggest things I have learned is patience and resilience. Recovery does not happen overnight, and neither do medical diagnoses. Some days are better than others. I've learned to take it one day at a time and not rush things. When I rushed or tried to do too much, my flare-ups were more severe and took more time for me to recover from them. And where each day was different, it allowed me to embrace flexibility in my daily life and adapt to how I was feeling. Long COVID can be unpredictable, and learning to adjust to changing circumstances was empowering. It made me realize the importance of health, not just physical health. Mental health as well as cognitive health are all very important. It has become a priority to take care of myself. But it's not just taking care of myself. Long COVID has made me more empathetic. I now understand what it's like to live with an invisible illness, and it's made me more compassionate towards others who might be going through their own health challenges. So, while it's been a tough journey, I'm trying to find meaning in the experience and grow from it. A couple of Bible verses to cling to if you're facing a chronic illness, such as long COVID. The first is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, that says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." This verse reminds us to be resilient and how, even in challenging times, our hope in the Lord can renew our strength and keep us going. And the second verse is Psalm chapter 73, verse 26, which says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." It is a reminder that even when our physical strength falters, God remains our unwavering source of strength and everlasting hope. I want you to know that I am here for you, cheering you on and praying for your continued strength and recovery. With God's help, you will soar above these challenges. Keep holding on to that hope, my friend. Dear Lord, I come to you today with a heart full of gratitude for bringing me through the challenging journey of long COVID. You have shown me your faithfulness. Even if you did not choose to heal me, I am thankful for the strength and healing that you've provided me along the way. As I reflect on my own experience, I'm reminded of your promise to be our strength when our own falters. Your grace has sustained me, and I am thankful for your unwavering presence in my life. Lord, I lift up all those who are currently facing chronic illness and health challenges. I ask for your abundant grace and mercy to surround them. Just as you have been my source of strength, I pray that you would be their source of hope and comfort. May your healing touch be upon them, providing them with renewed strength and the assurance that they are not alone in their journey. Help them hold on to hope, even in the face of uncertainty. I pray for their families and their loved ones as well, that they can find wisdom in supporting their dear ones through these trials. As a caregiver as well, I know how draining that can be. Thank you for your unfailing love and care. I trust in your promises and know that you will continue to guide us with your grace, as always. In your name I pray. Amen. As we conclude, I want to leave you with a special call to action. If you know someone who is facing the challenges of long COVID or any other chronic illness, I encourage you to share this episode of the Stained Glass Podcast with them. It's my hope that the words of encouragement I've shared today can be a source of comfort and strength for them in their journey. So reach out to your friends, family, or anyone you know that might need a little extra hope and inspiration right now. Let them know that they are not alone and that in the Lord they can find the strength to overcome their challenges. You can do that by texting them a link or a screenshot to this podcast episode or sharing it on your social media. You can tag me as well. I'm at the Stained Glass Podcast on Instagram and Threads, and also in the Stained Glass Podcast group on Facebook. In the next episode, Sarah Fraser will be back on the podcast for a special 2-part episode discussing her family's missionary journey to Honduras and the challenges they faced. It drops in 2 weeks. Until then, this has been Jessica Spurlock with the Stained Glass Podcast. Go be a blessing.